Daniel Rivera adjusted the cuffs of his tailored suit as his black luxury car stopped in front of one of the most exclusive
The evening
restaurants
is just
in New York
lovely,
City.
isn't it?
The golden
Absolutely,
lights
the
shining from
atmosphere is
inside,
perfect. A toast to the
reflected
host.
against the glass doors, and the name of the restaurant sparkled above the entrance. Daniel was no stranger to places like this. At just 32, he had built a powerful technology company from nothing, transforming himself from a poor neighborhood boy into a respected millionaire. As he stepped inside, the soft sound of piano music filled the air. Crystal chandeliers glowed warmly above neatly arranged tables, covered with white silk cloths. Business executives and elegantly dressed couples filled the room. Daniel was there for an important dinner, meeting with international investors, a deal that could expand his company even further. He walked confidently to his reserved table. The hostess greeted him politely and guided him to his seat near the window. From there, he could see the busy streets outside. Cars moving quickly, people rushing home. The city alive as always. Daniel took a deep breath. Moments like this reminded him how far he had come. A few minutes later, a waitress approached the table with a notepad in her hand. "Good evening, sir," she said softly. "May I take your order?" Daniel glanced up casually, but the moment their eyes met, his breath caught in his throat. The world around him seemed to fade. The music, the voices, the clinking glasses all disappeared. Standing in front of him was Sofia Martinez. Her hair was neatly tied back, and she wore a simple black and white waitress uniform. She looked older, more mature, but her eyes were the same kind, intelligent. "Unforgettable, Sofia," Daniel whispered almost in disbelief. For a second, surprise flashed across her face. Then she smiled politely, though her eyes revealed she recognized him. "Too, Daniel. It's been a long time." His heart began to race. The last time he had seen her was at their high school graduation ceremony. Nearly 14 years ago back then. They were inseparable friends. They studied together, shared lunch every day, and talked endlessly about their dreams. Sofia wanted to become an engineer and travel the world. Daniel had simply wanted to escape poverty and prove himself. "You work here?" he asked quietly, still trying to process the scene before him. "Yes," she replied gently. For a few years now, her voice was calm and professional, but something about it felt heavier than before. Daniel felt a strange mix of emotions: shock, confusion, and something close to guilt. In school, Sofia had always been the brilliant one. She helped him understand mathematics when he struggled. She stayed after class to explain lessons. She believed in him when teachers doubted him. And now here she was standing beside his table as a waitress, while he wore a suit worth more than her monthly salary. "I'm glad to see you," Daniel finally said, offering a small smile. "I'm glad to see you too," Sofia answered sincerely. "Congratulations on your success. I've heard about you." Before he could respond, another waiter called her name from across the room. She excused herself politely and walked away. Daniel leaned back in his chair, staring at the space where she had been standing just seconds earlier. The investors would arrive soon. The business deal was important, but suddenly none of that felt as important as the unexpected reunion that had just shaken his perfectly controlled world. Daniel tried to focus on the business discussion happening at his table, but his mind refused to cooperate. The investors were speaking about numbers, projections, and future expansions. Yet all he could see was Sofia moving gracefully between the tables, balancing heavy trays with quiet determination. Every time she passed by, old memories flooded his thoughts. He remembered their first day of high school. Daniel had been the shy boy sitting alone in the back row, wearing an old uniform that didn't quite fit. Some classmates had laughed at him for his worn-out shoes. Sofia had been the only one who walked over, introduced herself, and asked if she could sit beside him. That simple gesture had changed everything. She had always been brilliant: mathematics, science, literature. There was nothing she couldn't understand. But what made her special wasn't just her intelligence. It was her kindness. She would patiently explain difficult lessons to Daniel after school, even when she had her own homework to complete. "You're smarter than you think," she used to tell him. "You just need to believe in yourself." Those words had stayed with him for years. Daniel remembered how they used to sit on the school rooftop during lunch breaks talking about their future. Sofia dreamed of becoming an engineer and building projects that would help poor communities. Daniel dreamed of starting a business, earning enough money to take his mother out of their small, rented apartment. Back then, their dreams felt possible. But life had other plans. In their final year of school, Sofia's father became seriously ill. Medical bills piled up quickly. Daniel remembered the day she told him she might not be able to attend university. She had tried to smile while saying it, but her eyes betrayed her fear. "I'll find a way," she had said bravely. Family comes first after graduation. They slowly lost contact. Daniel became busy chasing scholarships and part-time jobs. He worked endlessly, sleeping only a few hours each night. Eventually, he launched a small tech startup from a borrowed garage space. It failed at first. Then he tried again and again. Years later, success finally came. Investors believed in his ideas. His company grew faster than he ever imagined. Interviews, magazines, conferences. His name became known in business circles. But somewhere in his journey, he had forgotten to look back. Now watching Sofia refill water glasses and politely smile at demanding customers, Daniel felt a heavy weight in his chest. She had once been the brightest student in their class. She had sacrificed her education to support her family. While he climbed higher and higher, she had quietly carried responsibilities that most people would never understand. He noticed how tired she looked when she thought no one was watching, the way she slightly adjusted her shoulder, probably sore from hours of carrying trays, the forced smile she wore when customers spoke rudely. Daniel felt uncomfortable, not because she was working as a waitress, but because life had been unfair to someone who deserved so much more. When the investors finally stood up to leave, satisfied with the meeting, Daniel barely heard their farewell words. His attention remained fixed on Sofia across the room. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about profits or expansion. He was thinking about gratitude and perhaps about a chance to repay a debt that money alone could never measure. After the investors left, Daniel remained seated, pretending to review some notes on his tablet. But his mind wasn't on business. It was on Sofia. He watched as she cleared the last plates from his table, her movements efficient, graceful, yet weighed down by the subtle tension of fatigue. Once she finished, she started to walk away. But Daniel called her name. "Sofia, can I talk to you?" For a moment his voice was firm yet gentle, carrying the weight of urgency. She hesitated for a split second, a small flicker of surprise crossing her face. Then with professional composure, she approached his table. "Yes, of course," she said. Daniel gestured to the empty table beside his own. "Please sit." Sofia lowered herself onto the chair, her eyes cautious but curious. She sensed something important was about to unfold. "I've been thinking." Daniel began, struggling to organize his words. "Seeing you here, it brought back a lot of memories. Do you remember how you helped me in school? How you stayed after classes to tutor me, even when you had so much on your own plate?" Sofia smiled softly, recalling those moments from years ago. "I remember," she said quietly. "You were always determined, Daniel." "I just tried to help." Daniel leaned forward. "You did more than just help. You believed in me when no one else did. And now, after all these years, I want to make sure your talent doesn't go unrecognized. Life shouldn't have forced someone as brilliant as you into a job that doesn't reflect your potential." Sofia's eyes widened slightly. She had anticipated some generous words, maybe even a tip or a small financial gift. But this tone felt entirely different. Daniel took a deep breath. "I'm not offering charity, I'm offering an opportunity. I want you to join my company on your terms. There's a new project starting next month, and I want you to lead it. You'll have autonomy, resources, and my full support. You deserve this, Sofia, more than I ever deserved anything back then." Sofia's mind raced, leading a project in a top technology company. The idea seemed surreal. Her hands trembled slightly as she clasped them together on her lap. I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Say yes," Daniel said simply, a hopeful smile on his face. "Say yes. And let's turn those dreams we talked about on the school rooftop into reality. I never forgot how much you inspired me, Sofia. Now it's my turn to give back." Tears pricked at Sofia's eyes, blurring the elegant restaurant lights into a soft halo around Daniel. It wasn't just the offer, it was recognition, validation, and a chance to reclaim a path she had set aside to survive. I would be honored," she finally said, her voice trembling with excitement. Daniel reached across the table and shook her hand firmly. "Welcome aboard," he said, for the first time in years. Sofia felt the weight of her sacrifices begin to lift. This was not a handout. This was a partnership, a chance to prove herself on the stage she had once dreamed of. And for Daniel, seeing her smile genuine, unburdened, was a reminder of the people who shape our lives in ways we can never repay fully, except by lifting them when the moment finally comes. That night, an unexpected reunion became a turning point, not just for business but for dreams, friendships, and the enduring power of belief. Sofia would never be just a waitress again, and Daniel knew some debts, though invisible, are meant to be honored with opportunity. Months passed since that unforgettable evening at the restaurant, and life had changed dramatically for Sofia Martinez. No longer in a black and white waitress uniform, she now walked the halls of Daniel Rivera's headquarters. With confidence and purpose, her new role as project manager for one of the company's most ambitious initiatives had challenged her in ways she hadn't anticipated, but she thrived every morning. Sofia arrived early, reviewing reports, coordinating with engineers and presenting ideas. In meetings that once would have intimidated her, Daniel watched her from his office. Proud but careful not to interfere, he wanted her success to be her own, earned by the brilliance he had always known she possessed despite the long hours. Sofia felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't experienced in years. Her childhood dreams of working on meaningful projects were coming true. More than that, she realized she was reclaiming a part of herself that life had temporarily taken away. Their friendship, too, deepened in this new context. Daniel and Sofia met regularly, discussing strategy, innovation, and occasionally lighter moments from their school days. Daniel never treated her as a subordinate, but as an equal partner in shaping the company's future. One afternoon, as they reviewed a project milestone, Sofia laughed at a shared memory from high school. Remember? When we tried to build that solar-powered car for the science fair, we had no idea what we were doing. But we were so determined. Daniel smiled. I remember you stayed up all night teaching me the physics behind it. Honestly, we probably failed because of my mistakes. Not yours, Sofia shook her head, grinning. No, we failed because we were kids. But it doesn't feel like failure anymore. It feels like preparation for today. Daniel nodded. Exactly. Every step brought us here. Life's timing isn't always fair, but it gives second chances in ways we least expect. Sofia's team was thriving under her leadership. Her innovative ideas led to successful product launches, increased revenue, and widespread recognition within the company. Colleagues admired her intelligence, resilience, and unwavering dedication. But for Sofia, the greatest success was personal. She had reclaimed her confidence, her ambition, and her dreams. What began as a simple act of generosity from Daniel had turned into a transformative chapter in her life. One evening, after a particularly productive day, Daniel invited Sofia to his office. He handed her a small, elegant plaque for the best project manager. He said with a warm smile, "You earned every bit of this." Sofia's eyes welled up, but this time with gratitude rather than longing or regret. She realized that success wasn't just measured in titles or money. It was measured in respect, opportunity, and the ability to make an impact. "Thank you, Daniel," she said sincerely, "for believing in me. For giving me a chance I thought I'd lost." Daniel leaned back, satisfied. "You never lost it, Sofia. You just needed the right moment, and sometimes the right people to remind you of your own potential." As she left his office, Sofia felt a lightness she hadn't known in years. The city lights of New York twinkled through the office windows, a symbol of endless possibilities. The waitress who had once served tables out of necessity was now a leader, a dreamer, and a force to be reckoned with. Life had returned to her what she deserved and more, and both she and Daniel understood that. Some reunions are not just coincidences. They are beginnings. Sofia's new journey had begun, and this time there were no limits.